that we've been working with to help ourselves, and maybe they will help you too. Do you want to say anything, Ilana, as in way of greeting?
Today's been a doozy. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to drop in with a short meditation to start. And then I think after I breathe for a few minutes, I'll have just the right words to say.
Okay. Well, let's drop in, everybody. So we invite you all to just find your seat, find a comfortable seat wherever you are. If your dogs, your kids, your roommate, your family are all there with you, welcome everybody. And we're going to take some deep breaths in through our nose and out through our nose. And as we ground, I'm just going to guide us in a little bit of a visualization. And this visualization is really all about acknowledging and accepting what is. And that's something that we don't have a lot of control over right now, most of us. So whatever your particular personal landscape is right now, whether you are in a place that is still very much sheltering in place and you can't go outside, or if you're in a place where things are starting to open up and that might be causing a little bit of anxiety about what's coming next, no matter where you are geographically, no matter where you are emotionally, no matter where you are physically, you are welcome here. So we'll just ground down through our seat, whatever part of you is touching the earth, the chair, maybe your seat or your back. In through the nose and out through the nose. Feel your hands on your knees. Maybe rest your dominant hand inside your non-dominant hand. Maybe place one hand on your heart. Connect to yourself. And just touch in. How are you feeling right now? Maybe this day has been a roller coaster. Maybe this day has been boring. Maybe you are so overwhelmed you can't conceive of anything being boring, and boring sounds amazing. Just accept what is. No judgment. No trying to change it. Let's try to just take 3 breaths together, just breathing into what is, whatever that looks like for you. You can float your eyes open, relax your hands down, and maybe just take a moment to wish whatever that was that you were feeling, just wish it well. It can stay or it can go, but just try to be a little bit neutral and accepting of whatever is right now for you.
Thank you, Jenny. I had some tears streaming down my face. And, it's so interesting because I come on these Facebook Lives and I think like I want to be an uplifter. So I want to come with a smile and with wisdom, and I want to talk to all my teacher friends and all those people out there who are feeling suffering. I want to help them, And when I just sat in that 1 minute, 2 minute meditation, like I feel sad. I feel really sad. And to then try and like come on here and pretend like let me make you joke, let me be a comedian, let me lift you up. Like that's a lot of having to pivot into something that's not real. And so, one of my mantras right now is that I am led by my values. I am led by my values, and my values are honesty and kindness. And so I'm going to show up on this call today sad. And I think that that could still be medicine for people. Um, but thank you for the opportunity to feel into that.
Yeah, and Ilana, thank you for sharing like from your authentic experience, because that is literally how we feel better, is to accept what is and not try to fight it. Because we all know that whatever you're fighting, if you resist, it will persist. So not engaging in that argument with yourself, but just being soft and accepting of whatever it is you're feeling. And
Mhm.
in this time, it's really hard to hide what you're feeling when you're in close quarters with people, when you're stress level is very high for us around the globe already. So it's like if your stress level is here at the baseline, it only takes that one more thing to kind of push you over the edge, right?
Yeah. And I kind of want to tell a little short story if you're okay with it
Yeah,
about today, about like 30 minutes ago. So
do it.
Jenny and I usually get on a call before we do the Facebook Live to kind of prepare and what's our topic going to be, and what's the little offering that we want to give today to the world. And we had a little plan, and to be honest, I was feeling anxiety levels present for me today already. So I said, Jenny, you know what? We're going live at 1 o'clock. Like, why don't I take a 30-minute break and go for a little walk in my neighborhood and hop in the shower. You can see my hair is wet. And then I'll be able to show up on our call a little more resourced. So I'm going for this walk. It's a beautiful sunny day in California. And I just passed by a person who was shooting up heroin. And I had never seen that with my own eyes before, and I saw it and I can't unsee it. And I was going on this walk to like lift myself, and there it is, the thing that, like, last week you kind of talked about how you had this pipe burst in your house, and like you were using your tools and everything was kind of resourced, and then it's like one more thing,
One more thing. Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
the floodgates is like, oh, I can't hold it in anymore. So, I knew like, okay, 1 o'clock is coming and I have this Facebook Live to do. So I got in the shower and I just wailed. Like I cried like to the point where like I maybe even concerned my roommate a little bit. Like loud wailing kind of crying. And it was it wasn't like I was forcing it, but at a certain point it was like I was allowing myself to go into this sort of like guttural, like I could have like been like, no, I'm in the shower, but I kind of like, it wasn't a forcing, but I kind of allowed myself to go into
Hmm.
that place a little deeper, knowing that like I'm doing this as a friend to myself. That crying, making sound, I'm in the shower, it's safe to like emote. Um, and that's what just happened to me like minutes ago. So here I am.
That's so cool. I mean, it's not so cool that someone was shooting up heroin or that you had to see that when you were trying to calm down or resource yourself. But I'm glad you told that story, because I feel like that particular trajectory has happened to me a lot during COVID, where, I mean, it's happened a lot in life, but I feel like, we all have that feeling where we're a little stressed out, we're a little overextended and kind of on the verge of tears. Like when we start to feel like things are, we're having to hold it in, like we all know that feeling. It's like, someone says something and you're just kind of like tense up, or, it's like, no, I can't open my email. Like, not one more thing, I can't handle my teenager right now. I can't look at the news, like, not one more thing. And when we have that feeling of like constriction, that's the signal, right? That's the signal that we need to do what you just did in the shower, like in whatever that looks like, for us. And I want to tell a little short story to go with that one, because earlier we were talking about releasing sound even before this happened, right? Like we were saying, you know, what if, like, do you want to say the idea that you had, and then we'll
Yeah.
do it? I'll tell my
Okay,
story.
so this was like a prompt that I was trying out. You could try it out with your students, but also me and Jenny do it with each other, which is like, say how you're feeling in a sound. So instead of saying like, I'm feeling sad, or, when we ask, it's like the question, how are you, for example, is just like, you hear that all day long on Zoom calls all day long. How are you? And it's like, okay, how do I even express the human range of emotion that I'm experiencing right now? But it was kind of a fun way to do a check-in, like, how are you doing today? But instead of a word, tell me a sound. So Jenny, like, if you would be willing to try, like, how are you feeling as a sound right now?
Well, I'll share. I want to share two sounds.
Okay.
So the first, when Ilana first asked me this, actually the way it came out, she said, "I can't describe how I'm feeling, but I think I can do it in a sound." And I was like, "Okay, do it." So she did it,
And my
and
sound was like this. My sound was like,
and I totally knew what she meant. Like, I got that. And then I was like, "Oh, let me try. Let me see if I can do it." And I was like, "How am I feeling?" And my face kind of scrunched up, and I just went, and it was just like, so that was how I was feeling. I was feeling like that an hour ago. But when Ilana went on her bike ride, I thought to myself, let me resource myself too. So I had a little snack. And then I went to one of my go-to dance videos, which is the electric slide. And it's like this really grainy, like VHS recording from like the 70s of this woman teaching you how to do the electric slide. But there's a whole bunch of people do. So I just did a little electric slide, and I kind of felt a little bit better. And then I did some more, and I felt a little bit more better. And then I was just recalling, because of our conversation, that one time I was at open mic, and there's this guy who comes sometimes. I can't remember his name, but his band is called Wizard. And he's here in Montana somewhere. And so he gets up to do the sound check, right? And everybody else gets up and they're like, 1, 2, 1, 2, check, check. Everyone's scared because it's open mic. He gets up there and he gets his guitar and he's doing the sound check, and he's like, whoo! And he just like let it out. And every head in the room was like, what's happening? But I was just like, I want to be that guy. Like, I want to be that guy who's like, give me a sound check. Whoo! And just like let it out. So that's my sound for right now after I did the electric slide a couple of times.
Yeah.
So, but one thing we do want to say is just that we are embracing the full range of human emotions during this time and always, because we are, if you're in the classroom, if you're at home, if you're a parent, if you're a caregiver, especially right now, while we're all teachers, we're not only navigating that roller coaster for ourselves, but we're also navigating it for everyone who's in our immediate surroundings or our students online.
Mm-hmm.
So, taking a minute to just acknowledge where you're at right now, and knowing that it might be different in 5 minutes, it might be different in 10 minutes. Maybe you can impact it by doing some resourcing. Maybe not. Maybe you just need to release attachment to controlling it, because we can't always control it.
Right. And it doesn't always feel like sadness shows up at a time sometimes it feels like it's never a good time for sadness. I mean,
yeah,
it just feels like, no, I gotta show up for my students. I gotta show up for my family. I gotta, to do. And sadness, there's no time for you. And if we press it down enough, it will actually eventually create disease, not
Yeah.
just even, we're talking to the extreme scenario, but I think of some people I have in my life that they couldn't tell me the last time they cried. And I'm reading this book right now, and I'm not finished with it yet, but I highly recommend it. And it's mostly about how girls are raised, and it's a lot about girls. But I just read this chapter about boys, and it was like how men are being brought up to not, it's not okay to be tender, it's not okay to be sensitive, man up, man up. And it's like, wow, I can think even to some people in my life who I don't know if they feel enough emotional safety within themselves to cry in alone in their shower. It's like, let alone to cry on the internet in front of, that's a whole nother level. But like, to even just be alone in your shower crying, like they can't access that yet. And
Yeah.
so the meditation that we want to close with today is actually one that I learned from my teacher, Sylvia Borstein. And Jenny, is there anything that you want to add before I move into practice?
Yeah, I just wanted to add one other thing about the releasing, like acknowledging, accepting, and releasing emotion is that, a way to illustrate it with kids as they're learning their emotional literacy is to talk about those negative emotions. They will move through you if you don't attach a story to them. So if you accept your emotion, I feel sad, and let it move through, that's great. You're like a pipeline, the emotions are moving through. But the minute you start saying, I'm not feeling sad, what are you talking, you start denying your emotions, they're going to come out some other way. So any emotions that don't get released might come out as anger, they might come out as annoyance or irritability, or things like that. So if you're working with kids or yourself and you are feeling those things, like you're easily triggered or feeling irritated, or even bored. A lot of boredom is actually unexpressed emotion because it's really numbness. So if we can just help our kids know that you got to feel the bad to feel the good, and feel it all. And Glennon Doyle she is the goddess of this. And for those of you who are not familiar with her, she actually used to be a teacher, and she has been doing these morning meetings on Instagram throughout COVID. So you can go back on her Instagram and you can see them from the beginning. And she's talking about Untamed, but she's also talking to all of us like we're her kids in a circle on the rug. And we're grown-ups, but we still want to be seen, acknowledged, held, and spoken to with love. So I encourage you to check her out on all her platforms.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's close our last, 15 minutes here with a practice that you can practice with us. And you can practice in the shower, you can practice in your, in your car. And it's a practice that it's like a loving kindness meditation, a metta meditation, where you wish good to yourself and you wish good to others. And you might have heard the meditation before with the words, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you live with ease. That's a meditation that circles around, and it's a beautiful meditation. But I heard my teacher Sylvia Borstein use other words that really brought a freshness to this loving kindness meditation for me. And so I'll guide you through it. And you can do this practice with eyes open or eyes closed. I recommend closing your eyes just to take away the sense, the input, the sensory input of sight can really help you to go inside. And We'll start by just taking a few deep breaths. So just feel your belly moving as you breathe. Relax the shoulders as you exhale. Notice if there's any places where you can soften tension. Relax the forehead. Relax the jaw. Feel your lips and soften your lips. Maybe you can even bring a very gentle sound to your breath. It's not a forcing, doesn't have to be the deepest breath you've ever taken in your life, but just you can constrict your throat muscles a tiny bit. It'll bring like a little ocean sound. And it can be so gentle that only you could hear it. Just notice the quality of your mind and your emotions. Using that very gentle sound of your breath as an anchor to the present moment. Breathing in and breathing out. So as you inhale, I invite you to silently repeat the words, "May I meet this moment fully." And as you exhale, repeating the words, "May I meet it as a friend." Inhaling, "May I meet this moment fully." Exhaling, "May I meet it as a friend." And let's try that for 5 to 6 breaths. You don't have to count them. So wherever you are in the spectrum of emotions, may I meet this fully. May I meet it as a friend. If you forget the words or you lose track, notice and come back to your breath. May I meet this moment as a friend. The Buddha said that if you look the whole world over, there is no one more deserving of your loving kindness than yourself. And that loving yourself is a pathway to creating more peace in the world, in this very body, in this very mind, in this very moment, in this very life. Peace is a possibility. So as you take a few more breaths, Breathing in, may I meet this moment fully. Breathing out, may I meet it as a friend. Think of all the people, including Jenny and I, who are also breathing these words in and exhaling these words out, and how we wish for them, how I wish for Jenny, how I wish for my sisters and brothers, for these words to be true for them. May I meet this moment fully. May we meet our lives as a friend. Just a few more moments here. To close our meditation, I invite you to bring your hands together in front of your heart. This is a symbol of befriending. And you can rub your hands together, getting a little bit of heat between your hands. And then bring your hands to your heart. Relaxing the shoulders and feeling the weight of your hands on your heart, feeling the heat. Pressing. Thank you for practicing. Thank you for practicing these words. You can really slowly start to open your eyes.
Thank you, Ilana. That was awesome. I really felt that connection.
Yeah, and as I was wailing in the shower 30 minutes ago, I remembered the meditation. And that's the power of practicing. Like, even when you practice when you're not having that moment, right? You practice, like right now, you might not be hysterically crying in your shower, but we practice those words. And then when you're in your shower freaking out, or when you're having the moment where the pipes break and, you're in that place of fight or flight, like, the muscle is there. And I remembered when I was in my shower, like, may I meet this moment right now, this uncomfortable moment as a friend. It's just like, it takes away that other layer, right? Like, there's that story in Buddhism about the second arrow, where like a person gets first hit with a first arrow and it hurts. Like, it sucks to get hit with an arrow. But then the second arrow is like the layers on of like, where we start to feel judgment that we shouldn't have been in that place where we got hit with the arrow. Or I don't know. I'm doing the best job of explaining this, but
You're doing great.
but when we start to layer on guilt and shame, and like, now I'm feel mad because I'm feeling sad, or now I feel guilt because I'm sad and I have kids and I have to be happy because I have kids, and whatever it is, I feel like those words, may I meet this moment as a friend, reminded me um, to to allow the acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, and that what you're talking about is really building resilience. When we practice when we're not stressed out, so that we have the practices there when we are stressed out. One thing I learned recently that surprised me happily is that resilience is cumulative. So every time you build that muscle, it gets stronger. So that when, the pipe bursts, or you see something you really wish you hadn't seen, or something goes sideways, you are even more able to access the practices. So if it's a challenge right now to remember the practice and to meditate for 3 minutes, it gets easier, and the benefits, they're immediate, but they're also cumulative. And so they get stronger over time.
Right. It's
Which
like
is,
that ability to kind of just like turn my day around. Like I might need a little more time to cry in bed later today. I'm not sure
yeah,
yet. I'm honestly not sure yet. But I also can see how like I can take this whole story now and see like I can, and I am careful not to say like not everything has to be a silver lining and not everything has to be
no,
like how is this positive, but how wonderful it is when you can do that, and to be able to say like, oh, that, look at how I handled that.
yeah. I mean, it's all wonderful. It's wonderful to befriend what is, whatever that is. It's wonderful to use your practice, and it's wonderful to feel resilient, but it's also wonderful to need to do it again in 5 minutes or 10
Hmm.
minutes or tonight or 3 times tomorrow. It's all good. It's all part of being human and
Yeah,
not
and
fighting.
what I love about those words, like, may I meet this as a friend, is that it includes the moments where you can't see the silver lining. It includes the moments where you're like, I need to watch junk TV right now because I can't resource myself or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it's like a big hug, just
It's like
I
a big
include
hug.
I include all of it. Well,
And we include all of you.
yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for showing up on here with me today, Jenny. This was really helpful for me, and I hope may our words have been of any benefit to anyone who's listening.
Yeah, I love being here with you, Ilana. I love our conversations. I love sharing our conversations with our community. So we will be here for you all every Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Join us. Look for our Facebook page, our Instagram page. We're going to have some really cool stuff coming, some challenges. Yeah, and thank you, JJ, for our wonderful song, Breathe and Slow. Check him out.
Bye.